To the casual viewer, she presents as a reality television stereotype, an emotional loose cannon prone to explosive outbursts. But beneath that chaotic surface operates a calculating corporate strategist. Rather than playing nice, she used her volatility as a wrecking ball, dismantling the brand-safe ecosystem from the inside out. The original architecture of this show relied on a predictable, manicured environment: weekend coastal parties, controlled escapism, and respectability politics. She discarded that rulebook. By trading risk-averse boundaries for total front-facing transparency, she created a dynamic where her actual, unvarnished life became the only plot that mattered. This graph illustrates how that radical exposure acts as a gravitational pull. While other castmates attempt to maintain stable, safe storylines, a highly volatile narrative easily overtakes the competition and dominates network retention metrics. By refusing to hide her flaws, she inverted the power dynamic, forcing the corporate machine to build its entire programming schedule around her personal timeline. In August 2023, that system was tested by a sudden on-camera ambush designed to dissolve her highly publicized engagement. Her fiancé invited cameras to capture the exact moment of the breakup, attempting to leverage the network's production machinery to control the narrative. She did not retreat into private grief. Instead, she treated the emotional devastation like a corporate emergency, gathering a close-knit group of allies in Manhattan to centralize a response strategy. Bypassing a network's non-disclosure conventions, she opted for asymmetrical media warfare, launching narrative counterstrikes entirely outside the television contracts. This timeline shows how, months before the breakup episode would ever air on television, she sat down for high-profile podcast interviews, laying out an exact, detailed account of the split. By striking first, she anchored the audience to her specific version of events. The network editors were left with no choice but to draft in her wake, assembling footage that simply confirmed what she had already established. What was designed as a devastating personal humiliation became an impenetrable layer of structural armor, securing her narrative longevity for future seasons. Her next phase of corporate optimization was triggered shortly after by an unexpected pregnancy with a new, highly private partner. The situation presented an immediate logistical conflict. Her brand requires absolute public transparency, while his lifestyle demanded a strict barrier against public scrutiny. This forced an ultimatum. She could compromise her algorithmic sovereignty to accommodate a private romance, or she could protect her public equity. Recognizing the friction, she chose to sever the romantic entanglement entirely to protect the raw vulnerability her brand requires to survive. As she explicitly stated, once you achieve this level of exposure, you cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube. The public identity is non-negotiable. Hitting pause on the relationship established a fiercely guarded, independent single-mother narrative. It is a storyline that requires absolutely no co-star to function. This maneuver proved her television brand is an entirely self-sustaining entity. By centering the story on her pregnancy and child, she ensured that even a partner's total absence only increased her value to the show's algorithm. Maintaining this position requires a specific psychological threshold: the willingness to look at personal wreckage and feed it directly into a global broadcasting machine. She operates with a defensive architecture, pre-editing betrayals and personal confrontations in real time for maximum algorithmic impact. This aggressive transparency stands in stark contrast to castmates who attempt to self-produce, hiding behind respectability politics that yield minimal commercial traction. In this quadrant matrix, her willingness to bleed on camera mathematically devalues the leverage of any co-star playing it safe. The attention economy starves closed-off participants. Viewership and digital traction funnel entirely toward the most exposed subject on the board. In this environment, attempting to calculate healthy boundaries is a fatal professional liability. Raw exposure is the only valid currency. Over a decade, this localized strategy sent structural shockwaves through the network's broader industrial design. She proved that a single cast member could hijack the network's broadcast window using outside platforms, making the old method of managing reputations via the editing room functionally obsolete. The network was forced to adapt, rewriting their core formula to exclusively reward high-octane catalysts over passive observers. Her career represents a multi-year hostile takeover of her own television narrative, executed through professional public relations and a refusal to wait for the network's permission. In the elite tier of unscripted media, absolute exposure is not a weakness. It is the ultimate sovereign ultimatum.